I didn't.
We're set. Go.
What's that? So,
Next question.
so what we're currently talking about, which may or may not be useful, is that we're talking about transgenerational wealth, but one of the topics that maybe needs to be added to the panel we're about to do at IIREC, right?
In Manhattan Beach, right? One of the most beautiful areas in the
In Manhattan
world.
Beach, right, one of the most beautiful areas in the world
The
is,
Hunter Thompson and so many other amazing speakers.
there you go, including Brett right here is going to be one of our speakers, and Whitney is going to be one of our speakers. And I am excited about this because we had all these questions about transgenerational wealth and what does it mean to move your wealth forward? And what we just stumbled back into is, but what about teaching wealth education now as part of understanding how to have successful transgenerational wealth? First generation makes it, second generation protects it, third generation spends it, right? Is the rule of thumb. And so how do you start educating your children? So I'm hoping to get my daughter a checkbook at 12, but Whitney has, go ahead, Whitney, you're next.
Oh my gosh. I'll just show you. I don't know if you guys can see them. They're like get caught doing something good tokens. And she has a values list, also known as chores, but we call it adding value because we want her to learn specific terms. And based on what she does, she gets allocated certain coins throughout the week, and then she can spend them however she wants. But it keeps it very visible and tangible, as opposed to like if you bury this money in a bank account, it's really hard, and give them a debit card and a checkbook. It's really, that's math that she needs to do at some point in time. But at age 9, like this is her little bank account.
Yeah, my daughter, and Brad, I'm going to let you jump in on this with your 5 kids. That to me is still remarkable. I was lucky to have one. My husband wanted to have 6. We were lucky to have one, so we never got close to 5. But I think one of the things that occurs to me is that my daughter already can do that substitution in her brain. Like, gee, I get this much money for my quote unquote, we call it games, right? Whether it's video games or going to like B&J's and doing games there. Like, she gets this fun and she gets to choose. And she's like, hey, can I switch some of that money over to buying more sushi this week? Because we also have a sushi fund. Tells you about our family. My daughter insists on having sushi twice a week. So in order to teach her the value of sushi currency, we only have so many sushi dinners a week, just so she understands, even though we could probably buy sushi a lot more often, we only buy sushi so often, so that she understands there's a allotment, right?
I had a question. Do you guys have your kids set aside a certain allocation for savings and for donation? I mean, that's what we do.
Okay. I do not currently have her do that.
Brett? We do, yeah. We force the give, right? So we're like, hey, here's some options, but just so you know, you will be giving this, and this is a way to train that in there. So we say force, but we really want to make sure that hey, mom and dad give, and so we're gonna train you on this, build this habit. So for every dollar you're earning, right, we want to allocate maybe 10% or so to be able to give to someone else who's in need. And so, yeah, we build that in. By the way, not to be confused, Christina, with sushi crypto. There's an actual cryptocurrency named sushi, right? So,
no, it's not sushi crypto.
But I want to talk about a creative way we do for our kids. So we're actually, adding value. We're trying to do cash flow, and we're trying to teach them about investing. Part of what we're doing is we're actually mining cryptocurrency. And part of it's the hobby, and part of it's the cash flow, but it's physical, and it helps them to get hands-on with the technology. And they say, Dad, what is that computer doing in the corner? I'm like, it's printing money right now. Well, it's printing it in coin, Ethereum, and it's cash flowing. Well, what does it cost? Well, it costs thousands of dollars to set up. And well, how long does it take until it pays for itself, right? And try to get them to ROI and return on investment. How long is it going to take? And creative ways to think outside the box. So we're trying to get hands on there. I like your tokens, Whitney, because we haven't done the tokens. I've been more like Christina. I've done we haven't done the checkbook. They make commissions. They don't have allowances, right? Okay. And if they do certain things, then, and also too, with 5, I'm not sure, Whitney, how many you have too, because that could be a tracking nightmare for my wife. Right? I'm like, hey, we're doing this token thing. I get so excited. Here you go. And the tokens are everywhere. And the kids are taking the tokens. But with 5, she's done commissions, and then she'll track. She opened up bank accounts for each child, right? And so that's the other thing too. But I love the checkbook hands-on for Christina, and I also love the tokens. Right. And I just got to get my wife to buy into that one.
Well, it's really hard because there is like the attention span of a kid when you're trying to raise them with solid financial education, right? This attention span, at least of my kid, is like this big, right? It needs to be something she can relate to, something specific, something concrete, right? Like she gets paid $5 for washing the dog. I maybe that's too much for paying a kid to wash the dog, but I really like it when she washes the dog and I don't.
She's creating value, right? Like that's the job that you don't want to do. So $5 is probably totally reasonable for you.
So I was explaining to my daughter, I do Airbnbs as well as part of my portfolio. Right? So I was explaining to my daughter about Airbnbs, and we were thinking about buying an Airbnb that's somewhere along the Gulf, right? And so my husband and I were including her in this conversation about, well, wouldn't that be kind of fun? Have an Airbnb along the Gulf. What do you think? The water's warmer there. Is that nicer? You should come with it. We're going to do a trip in the summer so she can see it with us, what we're thinking about purchasing and why different towns might look interesting. So we were having this whole conversation. My daughter likes to do compositions design. She's both mathematical and kind of artistic at the same time. And so we had this whole conversation, and from the back seat, I hear my daughter go, Mom, it would probably be a little much to ask for an Airbnb for my birthday, right?
But can she invest along with you?
Right. I said it would be maybe a little much to give you an Airbnb for your birthday, but we could totally do this together, honey. How about that? Right. So transgenerational wealth is about building education right now with your existing children. So by the time they hit much older in their life, not only in their middle years are they capable of being competent investors, whether they have a W-2 or not, but being able to understand that wealth management is part of their life, but also being able to deal with the end of life transition of these vehicles that we're going to be talking about on the panel, right? And because for me, like I said, I thought, oh, it's just the end of life conversation. It's like, no, transgenerational wealth goes across generations, truly.
It's wonderful.
So questions. So Brett, if I may, I'm going to double you back to the questions for a minute. So one of the conversations I have in here is vehicles. What are some of the vehicles you suggest to use during your lifetime? And it sounds like you in particular have cornered a couple of vehicles that you think are powerful during somebody's lifetime. Is there more to that question I should add? Is there less to that question I should add? How would I cultivate that body of questions?
Yeah, I think when you say vehicles, I think you mean like solutions to solve people's problems. So I would just maybe rephrase it a little bit or just add to that. What are some things that people can actually do once we define the problem to potentially solve the issue for the first person, right? And then for tax deferral, there's the opportunity zones, there's 1031 exchanges, there's Charitable Remainder Trusts, there's Delaware Statutory Trust, and there's the Deferred Sales Trust, right? So just understanding there's different options and different things that fit different circumstances, right? And so understanding and having an expert dream team to help you decipher those things and working with those who have done those things so that you can call on them when you need that. I mean, another way would be to have something to save a failed 1031 exchange. Do you have a 1031 exchange backup plan? Or if you're selling cryptocurrency or a business or whatever it is, does a 1031 exchange even work for that? The answer is no. It doesn't work for anything but investment in real estate. So it's actually knowing what the rules are and what is it that you're selling and what solutions are actually applicable for your situation. So I think that's definitely the hands-on application of this, right? But the bigger theme, I would say, are you building a dream team? And by the way, the part of the multi-generational wealth, you talked about the first, second, third. Well, guess what? There's kind of like three phases of your life. There's like the first, third, second, third, and then the third, if you will, right? Okay. And those advisors and those teams that have helped you maybe go from 0 to 1 million are probably not the same team that's going to take you from 1 million to 10 or even 10 to 50 million. Yeah. And or when you go to exit, and get it outside your taxable estate. So one of the biggest things that we have to try to help our clients overcome and get comfortable with is that your CPA doesn't know everything, right? I mean, they know how to file your tax return. They know the general real estate depreciation schedules and things to help you get some deductions, but that doesn't make them an expert in all things capital gains tax deferral. They might know about the 1031 exchange. And so it's separating and understanding to be open-minded enough and also inviting your CPA in too. So part of the problem is some folks, they're having their CPA in the rearview mirror, right? Like they're going out and they're excited about, like say, the Deferred Sales Trust or Opportunity Zone or whatever it might be, but they're not bringing their CPA in the driver's seat next to them, in the passenger seat, and go in it together. They have them in the rearview mirror. They're throwing it on them the last minute, and you can't blame the CPA who's like, I've never heard of it and I've never done it, and so like you want me to like say yes to that? And so it's realizing that this is a team sport, that you've got to take responsibility not only for your kids and their education and the future of the family wealth, but also your current situation for tax deferral, estate planning, and bringing those things together and making an open communication thing versus getting caught last minute, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And like, I mean, sometimes it's a little like, well, you've already done the investment. Even if I know exactly what to do with the investment, I can't help you fine tune it, tweak it, or make it more effective at this point because it's done. Right. It's
right.
fair.
You've already done. Yeah. Right. You're calling me in the 12th hour, right?
Okay.
11 and a half hour. And you're like, hey, where, can you, and you're like, and the CPA is like, I mean, this is part of why we work with tax professionals, right? Experts, CPAs, tax attorneys to do what we do. Right. But that doesn't mean we can't all work as a team. So that's the key. It's trading, as a quote by Ray Dalio. And he talks about our ego and these blind spots that get in the way for all of us, just generally speaking, right? And,
yes, absolutely.
And he talks about trading the joy of being right for the joy of what's true. And we've all got to do that. We got to be like, okay, I got to get my ego out of the way, my pride out of the way, and they may not be right, I might not be right. Let's figure out what's true, right? And then how does that change your wealth, change your tax planning, change your generational wealth planning? And when you can connect those things with the dream team, that's why those that are very wealthy are getting wealthier, because they just know the rules. They hire the dream team and they execute within the bounds of the rules. Those that are not are paying the most amount of taxes. I mean, there's something like 60% of the nation pays no income tax, right? And some of these people are very wealthy, and part of that is because they buy real estate and they depreciate, and they're real estate professionals, and they get cost segregation studies, and they do all these things that are in the bounds of the rules, all right? But if you don't know those rules and you don't have the team to help you execute those rules, then you're going to be left with less wealth and more to the government, and that means less freedom for us as citizens, is the way I see it.
Perfect. So we've got 7 questions so far. The 2 I've just added to our conversation that we're going to be answering on the panel is, 3, currently educating your children on how to have a good financial education. And that's 1. How do you get educated on the rules of taxes and what multi-generational tools there are? And 3 is, this is a team sport. How do you build your dream team?
Beautiful. I think those are great.
Those are 3 that I've added.
Yeah.
All right. Just because it's 1:35, how about is there any more that we need to discuss, or?
Nope. Christina, where can people find you?
Where can people find me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you're definitely used to doing podcasts. Where can people find me? ChristinaSuter.com. It's really not hard. So it's Christina Suter, SUTER.
And Christina Suter is like a commercial real estate advisor or investment real estate advisor, right? Versus the traditional stock market advisor. It's different, but she's going to help that. She's not a broker. And she's an investor personally, and she's going to help you make those decisions. Is that right, Christina?
That is correct. That's exactly how that goes.
Whitney, where can they find you?
Yeah, they can find me at passiveinvestingwithwhitney.com.
And by the way, that's with Dan Hanford's team, and they're amazing. They're one of the top commercial real estate, apartment, multifamily syndicators and educational people. They have, like, what you guys is huge. What's that thing you guys put on? Multifamily Investor Nation?
Yeah, Multifamily Investor Nation, which is next week. You guys can hit me up directly if you guys want to attend. And then, yeah, I'm the director of investor education here. So I am happy to connect with anybody. I love geeking out about this.
Fantastic.
Brett, I was going to say, Brett, I know your followers know you, but how can people find you, Brett?
If you don't know how to find us, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com, and you can search our YouTube channel. If you're watching it there, you're already here. Just rate, review, subscribe, and share this with someone who can inspire